All right, today we're going to follow the money behind a single number that tells a huge story about how a city grows. This is a massive bet on a community's future, and we're going to break down exactly how it all works.
So $27.1 million. Let that sink in for a second. What does a number this big actually build? Well, it's not just some abstract figure. This is the seed money for an entire neighborhood. So let's find out where all this cash is headed.
And that, right there, is the big question, isn't it? This isn't just about concrete and steel. It's about finance, it's about vision, and it's about meeting a community's needs. So stick with us as we unpack how a deal like this really comes together.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to follow the money through three main stages. First, the community. What are we actually building? Then, the deal. How does the financing work? And finally, the impact. Why does this all matter?
Okay, let's dive right in. Our story starts in Orlando, Florida, where this $27.1 million is funding a brand new multifamily community. And this is a ground-up development, which basically means they're taking a blank slate and building an entire residential complex from scratch.
So the goal here is pretty ambitious, but it's also crystal clear. Transform 25 acres of land into a modern living space. And get this, they're not wasting any time. Construction is kicking off immediately, and they're aiming to have people moving in by 2027.
All right, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What does that money actually buy? What kind of homes are we talking about here? And, what's it actually going to be like to live there?
Okay, so the project is creating 45 brand new homes, and there's a really nice mix of options. 11 studios, 19 one-bedrooms, and 15 two-bedrooms. But here's what's really important. A key detail you can't miss. 10 of those units are specifically designated as affordable housing. That's a huge deal, and it addresses a really critical need in that area.
Now let's talk about what's inside these apartments, because they're going for a really high-end, modern feel. You've got your in-unit laundry, full stainless steel kitchens, stone countertops, the whole 9 yards. And they're even baking in some cool smart tech, like keyless entry and a virtual doorman. It's all about making life convenient and, honestly, pretty premium.
But listen, this investment is about so much more than just the apartments themselves. We're talking a rooftop deck, a gym, not one but 2 swimming pools, and even basketball and tennis courts. They're really building a whole environment.
And this focus on creating an entire experience, that's totally by design. David Palmer from EBSC Lending, the company behind the financing, puts it perfectly. He says the goal isn't just housing. It's about building a lifestyle from the ground up.
Okay, so we've seen the what. The cool apartments, the amenities, but what about the how? I mean, a project this big doesn't just happen. There's a really complex financial blueprint behind it all, so let's take a look at the architecture of the deal that's making this possible. The main tool they're using here is something called a construction loan. Think of it as special financing just for building stuff. It's not like they get a giant check for $27 million all at once. Nope. The money is released in stages as the project hits certain construction milestones. It's a way to keep everything on track.
Right, so every loan has a cost. And for this one, it's an 8.75% interest rate. In today's market, that rate kind of reflects the risk involved with building something totally new, right? It's definitely different than your standard home mortgage. But hey, that's the price you pay to borrow $27 million and turn a vision into reality.
Next up, we've got a really key metric in deals like this, an 80% loan-to-cost, or LTC. Basically, this means the loan covers 80% of the total cost to build everything. The developer, they've got to come up with the other 20%. That's their skin in the game, and it shows the lender they are all in on this project's success.
This isn't a 30-year mortgage. We're talking about a short-term deal. The initial loan is for 2 years, pretty typical for a construction phase. But hey, we all know construction can be unpredictable, right? Delays happen, so the deal smartly includes 2 options to extend the term if they need a little more time to finish up and get the place leased out. So, who's the financial muscle behind this whole operation? It's a company called EBSC Lending. And if we understand a little bit about them, it gives us a much better picture of why they'd place a $27 million bet on this Orlando community.
Well, EBSC Lending is what you'd call a specialized real estate lender. And they're not just a local player in Florida. They're providing customized financing for projects all across the U.S. and even up in Canada, in big cities and small towns alike.
And make no mistake, these guys are a major player. They've invested over $2 billion in capital since they started out. A number like that tells you one thing. They have some serious experience navigating all sorts of markets and projects.
And their expertise is incredibly versatile. I mean, they don't just do one thing. Their portfolio covers everything from the kind of big construction financing we're talking about today,
all the way to loans for fix and flips, and they even get into really niche markets, like financing for cannabis facilities.
Okay, we've seen the community, we've broken down the deal. Now let's pull back and look at the bigger picture. Why does one 45-unit apartment building in Orlando really matter in the grand scheme of things?
You know, this quote from Aaron Donovan over at EBSC Lending really nails it. This isn't just a random plot of land. It's in a high-demand corridor. Now, that's not just business jargon. It means this is an area where people desperately want to live, but there just isn't enough housing to go around.
So at the end of the day, what this project really does is tackle a core need head-on in Orlando. It's adding 45 new homes. And remember, 10 of those are affordable units right in a prime spot near jobs, shops, and the University of Central Florida. It's a really smart, targeted investment that's designed to support the city's growth.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. Every single new building, every new neighborhood popping up in your city, it has a financial story just like this one, happening behind the scenes. So it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the invisible financial deals shaping the future of the very place you call home, right now?